Abundance. You've probably heard this word everywhere, right? From wellness gurus to tech billionaires. It sounds so good, promising this amazing future. But what if that one little word is actually pulling us in two completely different, even opposing directions? So let's peel back the layers on this thing and see exactly where those two paths lead. So what really is abundance? Is it a mindset that we're supposed to cultivate inside ourselves, or is it a system that we have to build out in the world? It turns out, how you answer that question could point us toward two wildly different futures.
And boom, right out of the gate, you can see the conflict. On one hand, abundance is all about building these interconnected systems, for everyone's benefit. But on the other hand, it's framed as a purely personal mindset, all about individual gain and ambition. Two paths, one word. So let's start with that first vision, the one about shared prosperity, and see what that blueprint for abundance actually looks like.
All right, so let's dive into this first path. It offers a pretty clear blueprint, and it's all built on this really powerful idea that true abundance connects our own personal well-being directly to the health of the systems we all share. And according to this vision, that journey has to start from the inside out.
So the big idea here is that unlocking our real potential starts with our own biology. Seriously. It's about getting our own nervous system in check and making sure our brain is running optimally before we can even hope to create effective change out in the world. This isn't just some nice metaphor, it's grounded in actual physiology.
And this isn't just theory, okay? Simple stuff, like controlled breathing, has real measurable effects. I mean, we're talking about a 30% jump in vagal tone, which helps with stress, a 23% drop in cortisol, that's the main stress hormone, and a massive 40% boost in heart rate variability. It's kind of like having a remote control for your own nervous system, letting you switch from stressed out to calm.
Okay, so you take that control over your own body and you build it into this daily 4-part ritual. It connects everything: what you eat, how you breathe, what you visualize in your head, and the actual choices you make every day. The whole point is that each step reinforces the others, creating this powerful feedback loop that aligns your inner state with your outer actions.
But, and this is really the key part, this isn't just about feeling good by yourself in a vacuum. The whole argument is that this deep inner work is the essential foundation for doing any effective outer work. I mean, you can't build healthy, ethical systems for society if you haven't cultivated that balance inside yourself first. To put it simply, a regulated person is way better equipped to help build a regulated society.
So how does all that inner work actually show up in the outer world? Well, through something called the Abundance Platform Blueprint. It's basically a model for using technology for the collective good, not just for speculation. It's got things like DAO governance. That's a decentralized group where the whole community gets to make decisions, and a community treasury to make sure the mission always comes before profit. And, maybe most importantly, it suggests using ethical AI to screen out projects that could cause social harm. Success here isn't measured by profit, but by positive social impact. Okay, let's pivot. Now we're going to look at that other path. It's a really popular and honestly a very seductive vision of abundance, but it's been described as the belief to bold pipeline, and it's built on some foundations that are, well, pretty problematic. And this path, it usually kicks off with a really powerful, super empowering claim, like this one from Bruce Lipton, that our consciousness can literally rewrite our genes. It sounds amazing, and it gives a sort of scientific-sounding sheen to a very specific way of thinking. But how well does that claim actually hold up?
So what does the scientific community say? Well, it's not great. While the science of epigenetics is totally real, Lipton's huge claims are pretty much dismissed across the board as pseudoscience. Critics have called him a well-known crank, and reports say he hasn't published any peer-reviewed research in over 3 decades. This huge gap between the claim and the science, that's the very first step in this pipeline.
And this is how that whole pipeline gets built step by step. Lipton's pseudoscience is used to give a scientific justification for metaphysical ideas, like effortless receiving just by aligning your vibration. Then that idea gets co-opted by the world of techno-capitalism, where it becomes an abundance mindset used to justify aggressive market disruption and personal wealth accumulation pushed by figures like Peter Diamandis. You know, this kind of thinking can lead to some really serious psychological traps. The first one is toxic positivity. That relentless pressure to just raise your vibration and be positive all the time. What this does is force people to suppress completely normal and valid human emotions like grief or anger, which actually stops you from ever truly processing them. And then there's another one.
It's called spiritual bypassing. This is what happens when spiritual-sounding ideas become an excuse to just avoid tough realities. So instead of actually tackling a complex problem, you might just be told to trust the universe. It can sound comforting, but it often leads to doing nothing, right when action is needed the most.
Okay, so we've got these two totally different paths, right? Let's slam them right next to each other and really look at the paradox at the heart of this whole abundance idea.
And here it is. This is the absolute core difference between the two. The blueprint model says responsibility is systemic. Problems out there require collective action and systems designed with ethics in mind. The pipeline model, though, it basically privatizes responsibility. It says that your success and your failure are all down to your personal, internal state, your mindset, your beliefs, your vibration.
And man, it gets even clearer when you start looking at the actual goals. Is technology meant for the collective good or for disruptive growth? If someone fails, is it because of systemic issues or because of their own low vibration? This isn't just a philosophical debate. The analysis warns that the second path can create a kind of invisible caste system, where people who are struggling are just blamed for not having the right mindset, justifying massive inequality. So, wow. We've got these two huge competing ideas on the table. What are we supposed to do with all this? How do we even begin to navigate it? Let's wrap up by looking at a few actionable tools. While the way forward seems to break down into three main levels of action. First, for ourselves as individuals, it means building our scientific literacy so we can spot pseudoscience and developing real emotional intelligence so we don't fall for toxic positivity. Then, at the community level, it's about encouraging systemic thinking and getting involved civically. And finally, when it comes to tech, it means pushing for things like ethical AI and demanding that we measure success by more than just profit.
When you boil it all down, real, lasting abundance, it's not an either-or situation. It's not just about transforming yourself on the inside, and it's not only about fixing external systems. It seems to require a real, harmonious blend of both. A well-regulated, critically thinking person who is actively engaged with well-designed, ethical, and collective systems.
And that leaves us right here with a pretty fundamental choice to make. Is true abundance something we have to actually build together through conscious, collective effort? Or is it something we can just attract, all on our own? The path we choose is going to shape the future we all create.